I'm Andy Pilgrim for Automobile Magazine, and today at NCM Motorsports Park, I have a Dodge Challenger RT Scat Pack with the wide body option, and I'm going to be taking it on track. This particular car comes in Plum Crazy, kind of this purple color is called Plum Crazy. It harkens back to the early 1970s when Dodge came out with some high impact paint colors, and this is one of those from the early 70s. So it's actually probably not my first choice myself, but actually if you want to be seen, this is definitely one of those colors, right? So 2019, you can get the Scat Pack with the wide body option, which this car does have. So you get some Hellcat stuff on it. Basically the hood here with the power bulge in the middle with these heat extraction vent areas, that comes from the Challenger Hellcat. Also, you've got this splitter, and also you've got the spoiler at the back. All of that really is from the Hellcat. This 6.4 liter, 392 cubic inch motor is kicking out 485 horsepower, 6,100 RPM, 475 pounds-feet of torque at 4,100 RPM. It does have some shove, for sure. So part of the wide body option is these flares. I really like these flares. I'm not being sarcastic. I really like the flares. 3.5 inch wider track on this car. And you come also with these Devil's Rim, apparently, those are these wheels, 11-inch wheels, and instead of the 9.5s regularly, and you've got the Pirelli Zeros, very good, summer tire if you like, but they're still gripping pretty well in 50-degree weather, and 15.4-inch rotors on front with 6-piston Brembo calipers, and then in the rear you've got about a 30.8-inch rotors with 4-piston calipers, again Brembos on the back. And the brakes do a good job on track. You've got a much better handling package because of the track. You've got great tires, you've got the good brakes, and it's not necessarily a car that you would think of as being a track car, but with this engine, a little bit less weight that you have in this car, you've got a really good package for having some fun on track. Another thing about the Scat Pack for the enthusiast, you've got some nice badging here, which harks back what I would say to the Super Bs, again from the 60s and 70s, and it's just a nice touch for the enthusiast. I like it. Scat Pack's nicely appointed on the inside. I really like the seat. It's all-day comfortable seat. They've got some nice leather trim with some Alcantara on this one. It feels really good. I like the retro on the inside. The clocks look very retro, and I like those. Also, you've got the automatic transmission in this. It's not a double clutch automatic, but they've done some work to make it shift quicker. So when you go into track mode, it definitely does shift quicker, and that's a good thing. I don't use the paddles myself with these automatics. I've always made it a point these days of just allowing the transmission to tell me what gear I'm in when I get there, and then I can just concentrate. I don't have to mess with it, because I tend to find with an automatic, when you want to shift and you use the paddles, it doesn't happen all the time exactly when you want it to. I'd prefer it to put me in the right gear, and I can just deal with the braking and turning in, which is good. We've got drive modes, so you've got street, you've got sport, you've got track drive modes, and also you've got traction control on and off. I tend to leave it in the least restrictive track mode, and the car so far has been behaving very, very well with that. You can certainly get the back end to kick out in this car very easily, but that's something that the driver's supposed to control anyway, right? Staying with retro, which this car does very, very well. I think Dodge probably do it as well as anybody. The minimalist theme inside here with the infotainment system kind of rides along with this car. Very few buttons and switches down here. I like that. Yes, it's an infotainment system, but there's not a whole lot in there, and I'm fine with that. So now we want to drive this Scat Pack. But before I did a hot lap, I wanted to make sure the tires were all warmed up, so I made use of MSP's long front straightaway. Launch control engaged, brake on, revs up, go. Not too much wheel spin, quite a heavy car, 485 horsepower. Listen to that, let's listen to the motor. Half mile coming up here. About 138, 142 max before I hit the brakes. Not too bad. Good fun stuff. All right, let's go do a hot lap. Coming into turn one on the brakes, almost 130 miles an hour, turned in well.
The Scat Pack is about almost 300 pounds lighter than the Hellcat Redeye, but it still does have 55% of its weight over the front wheels. So it's going to be a bit of a wrestling match for me to get it around here. This is not, a racetrack is not its natural environment, but boy, was I having a blast. Sounds really good. Coming into turn 5, it was always going to be understeery through here. I'm trying my best to get the car to rotate. Didn't do a bad job through there. Say the brakes worked really well for the whole time I was on track. Very impressive for a large car. Good run through here. 71 miles an hour through the apex of 7 is very good. Going to use a lot of track. I know which parts of the track I can get away with going on the outside, and so once I know I'm okay, I'll let it slide out to keep the momentum going. Just a very slow corner here at turn 10. Little bit of tail happy there. But you know, it's so much easier with 485 horsepower on the Scat Pack than it is with almost 800 on the Redeye, and just as much fun. 127 through there, that's really good. Yeah, a little bit complainy going over the top there. Tires complaining a little bit, but we made it through there. "85 miles an hour, that's a solid run into 18, 19. You can hear me on and off the gas through here. That is not the car. I am trying to make the car rotate by using my right foot on and off the gas. And in fact, up here, I did a bit too much. A bit too much over rotation right there, but it worked fairly well to get the car to go through those constant radius corners. Coming out onto the straightaway, hard on the gas here. Over 90 miles an hour up against that concrete wall is good. 2 minutes 22.29. That's less than 3 seconds slower than the Hellcat Redeye, which has just over 300 more horsepower. Super job by the Scat Pack. I've had a lot of fun with this Challenger Scat Pack. To be honest, when Dodge said they were sending one, I wasn't sure. MSP is a track that values high performance, it values really good handling, and this is a fairly heavy car. But honestly, it did really well. And I'll tell you what, for a base price of around $45,000 with the wide body package, that buys a lot of attitude.